Located on 225 acres in Garden City, Long Island, Nassau Community College, a member of the State University of New York system, has close to 20,000 students attend the school each year. The college mascot is Leo the Lion, and these are his stories of the school's absolute best and brightest who have graduated over the past 50-plus years. Let's catch up together as the Alumni Association of Nassau Community College proudly presents Lion Tales, a Nassau Community College Foundation production on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Welcome to Lion Tales, powered by the Nassau Community College Foundation. My name is Aurora Workman. I am president of the Nassau Community College Alumni Association, and I am here with my friend and co-host, Dr. Lynnda Nadien, a proud graduate of Nassau Community College, and together we'll share stories that will inspire, uplift, and often amuse you.
Each week, Aurora and I will introduce you to alumni of Nassau Community College interested in sharing their experience here at Nassau Community College, along with the secrets to their success.
On behalf of the Alumni Association, we congratulate our honorees, including Joan Buckley, Ray Schwetz, Carl Dehaney Jr., Ed Quinlan, and Dr. Franz Dorsonville for outstanding work in the field of education, professional service, and community service.
Look for many new and exciting events on the Alumni Association social media pages, Facebook, Instagram, and our web pages at www.nassaucommunitycollege.edu/alumni. If you, our listening audience, has any positive news you would like to share about Nassau Community College alumni, engagements, births, graduations, weddings, and or accolades, email us at alumni@nassaucommunitycollege.edu and we will shout you out.
Well, today's guest is Melissa Messana. She is a native Long Islander, raised in North Massapequa, and a graduate of Farmingdale High School. Melissa is a special education teacher at Nassau BOCES and a proud alum of Nassau Community College. Welcome to Lion Tales, Melissa Messana, class of 1998.
Thank you.
So, Melissa, let's talk about your days in Nassau. 1998. What was going on?
So I graduated in my high school in 1996, and I went not knowing what I wanted to do with my life to Nassau. And at first, it was one of the scariest things I ever did because obviously I've never been to a college or any of those big campuses. Everything was so spread out. Mm-hmm. What to do with myself? But my first few months at Nassau, I met, besides learning all the classes and learning all the where everything is, I actually grew to love it within the first few months because I met like two of my bestest friends like the first week of school there.
Wow. Yeah.
And that really helped me just kind of get into the whole new environment. I mean, you go from high school to a big college like that. It's scary.
Yeah, right. And did you introduce somebody did you meet people who were not living in Massapequa? You met new friends from other places?
Absolutely, yes. I met one of my best friends who was from Bethpage. We were actually in a class together, and we were walking out, talking. We never met, and all of a sudden, I'm still talking, and she's all the way ahead of me. I got caught on one of the stop signs, got caught on one of the stop signs while we were walking at Nassau, and she was still talking, and I'm all in behind trying to ask for help. Just instantly became best friends, and we're still to this day. She graduated. I don't think she followed. She finished, and then she really didn't follow through anywhere else. But she's a massage therapist now.
Wonderful.
Oh, great.
That is wonderful. What were some of your favorite courses here? Well, first, what did you come here for? After you didn't know what you wanted to do, did you take a liberal arts program?
Yep, I took liberal arts. I had no idea what I wanted to do, so I took everything you could possibly think of. I took health, I took social work, intro to psychology, all the sciences, all the prerequisites, and then I took, obviously, the recreation ones.
Did you have bowling?
I took bowling.
Yeah, we all love bowling for PE.
Bowling was one of my favorite classes.
That was our favorite, too. We love that one.
It's so funny. I had it written down that bowling was one of the ones I was going to talk about. And I love social work, which is why I thought after I graduated from Nassau that I was going to possibly go into social work. But then I also took intro to psychology, and I love that too. So both of those courses, I really enjoyed both.
Yeah, one of the great things is the professors here are so great, and I don't know what happens when we decide that we don't know what we're going to do and we sit in these seats and the trajectory of our life changes.
Yeah.
You know?
Did you have Professor Wise for sociology? Do you remember that name?
That does sound familiar.
Yeah, and I had Professor Wise for sociology. I had Professor Siegel for psychology.
Could be, because,
Yeah.
I mean, I took all, like, the intros, the basics. It's probably the same professors, definitely.
Yeah. And they were so, inspiring as far as getting you into the coursework, which, you don't always find that. They really make a commitment to getting you involved with the subject area, and then you feel empowered to maybe possibly pursue it. That's how I always felt.
Exactly. That's what happened to me. I was not the best student in school. And after I attended Nassau and, I started taking a few classes, I said, you know what? I could do this. I could go on and keep going. That's why I decided on Nassau, because it was a smaller program. It was 2 years. And then I decided, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't want to waste my money and my time. So, honestly, Nassau prepared me for basically where I am today, because it really helped me guide me into what I am, what I do.
Yeah, that's great to hear, because I think it really is like a stepping stone for so many of our guests that we've had on the show that speak about coming in, not being the best student, really struggling with the academia part and saying, is this for me or is it not? And then Nassau sort of laid it out for them where they could pursue what they really wanted to do in life, and it finalized some of their higher ed plans.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So when did you realize you had a passion for teaching?
So I was in Nassau. I did a couple of classes like I said, in the social work and psychology department, and I thought I wanted to go on for psychology. So I went into, after I graduated Nassau, I went to Westbury for psychology. Graduated, started working with adults with disabilities, and while I was there, I decided, probably within the first year of working there, that I liked what I was doing, but I think I wanted to be more of the teaching, more in a school, not so much a rehab center. So that kind of guided me into the teaching field, and I went back to school at night for my master's in special ed.
Right, and now, you really do have an interesting job at BOCES, because tell us a little bit about the population that you're working with and why that's so interesting and, difficult at the same time.
Sure. My population is ages 7 to 21 with multiple disabilities. A lot of my students are nonverbal. We have kids with extreme behaviors at times, and every day is a new day, new
Right.
challenge. I honestly, every year when I step into BOCES, every September, I set a goal, and I have to be honest, if you look at each student individually, you will succeed, because every single kid has their own path, especially when it comes to children with disabilities, because they all learn at different rates and all different progress, just like any student. So my particular BOCES is, like I said, it's 7 to 21. So we have kids who are, I have kids triple my size and height. It's funny, because when I started, I was in my early 20s, and some of these kids were around the same age as me.
Right.
We're going to come back to you.
We're
You are listening to Lion Tales on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I am Aurora Workman, along with Dr. Lynnda Nadien, and our guest today, Melissa Messana, a special education teacher and a proud alum of Nassau Community College. So we were talking about, the different students and the diverse, and I always know because, I'm vertically challenged, as they say, and having the students that are so much taller than me and working with them, but they when you respond to them, they're students. They want to learn from you. They want to gravitate to what you have to say. So,
yes, and a lot of patience.
Yeah, and you also, within that classroom, you're supervising adults that also work with children, so there's a lot of challenges during the day, because you want those adults to respond to the students in a way that is positive also. How do you see the students that are older, when you have teenage boys, and, what does their future look like? What are you hoping? What do those goals look like for them?
So some of the main goals is for them to be as independent as possible. Many of my students live at home with their families, and a lot of the families still baby them. I guess because they have disabilities. Some of the families feel more that they have to baby them. So my job, as well as any of my staff in my room, is just to make them as independent as possible. So they have to come in, do their own, hang up their own backpack, get their own puzzles, do the routine by themselves independently. Eating is a big thing. A lot of my students will just dive in. You got to teach them the use
right. They stuff. You have to.
Yes.
Yeah. That's one of the things that we take it for, granted. And I know, remembering bringing up my son, I had to teach him how to eat. And everyone's like, you have to teach him how to eat because he stuffs. And dealing with children with autism, everything, I learned not to take anything for granted. Nothing that I did, even down to a bath.
Exactly.
Right. A friend of mine whose son is also autistic, he has a foundation called Rocco's Voice for Autism, and one of something he said to me, that we were talking about how even with behaviorists and behavior plans in place, he's still with his child 24/7, and he wants to be better at implementing the strategies and keeping it consistent throughout the day. So how have you managed to do that in the classroom? And then again, supervising adults that are also working with the kids.
So everybody laughs at me, but I'm very, very anal when it comes to my classroom. So you walk in, I have a very pretty strict, not strict, but a very cut and dry routine. I have visuals, lots and lots of visuals. I keep out a visual schedule for the students, and then the staff. We have schedules who's with which child during the day. So this way, there's no I don't know who I have, who should I be with.
Right.
We have. Me personally, I like to keep my room going. It makes the day go quick. It makes the kids happy. We are on every half hour. We rotate to the next activity, whether it's work time, smart board. Then they have gym and music. They go out to the field. We go out in the community, and again, keeping my staff happy because we are together all day long.
Right.
Yes.
So I try to always approach everything with a smile, and we celebrate every accomplishment with the kids. So, even something so little that maybe somebody would take for granted, we make a big deal about,
yes,
and all on the same page. So that's important.
I have a lot of little songs that I break out into when my son, as he was coming up, and I said, "You like this little diddly?" We put our pants on, yeah. And I mean, just everything.
That helps inspire them to do it again. You it's all positive reinforcement.
Yeah.
They need that so much.
Yeah.
And what about the kids when they do graduate from the program, and when they're considered 18, because I know there's a lot of research about what then happens when they reach the milestone age, and then they're expected to then go into society. Can they continue with their education? Do they go right into a job? What does it look like for them?
So our building's till 21, and majority of our students go to a day hab center after they graduate, whether it's ACLD or HRC. And then within those job sites, they have, within those day habs, they have job sites. So the ones that are on the higher functioning side that are able to go out in the community, more doing things independently, they'll actually go out and have job coaches with them. Some work at Marshall's or McDonald's, the fast food. And then the kids who are on the lower side, when they may not have the skills still to do the jobs, they still will do jobs within the rehab center, within the day hab center.
And then
from 21 on, and that's actually where I started. When I graduated from Old Westbury, I started working at a day rehabilitation center, which was 21 and up. So I kind of went backwards. I started from the older and went to the younger. Some of my students at the rehab center were 50, 60 years old.
Right.
Wow. You are listening to Lion Tales. Today's guest, Melissa Messana, is a native Long Islander, raised in North Massapequa, and a graduate of Farmingdale High School. Melissa Messana is a special education teacher at Nassau BOCES and a proud alum of Nassau Community College. My name is Lynnda Nadien, along with Aurora Workman, on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
You're not wired to have a response to this sound. You're neutral to it. You hear it every time you finish a meal and never feel anything. But if we were able to associate this sound with a new stimulus, save the food, we've achieved pulling a natural response from you. Save the food? Why are we doing this, you may ask? Save the food? Because this ad is trying to change your after-meal behavior through brainwashing. Because food waste costs the average family $1,500 a year. Save the food, cha-ching, and $1,500 extra bucks is like getting a pay raise. Save the food, cha-ching, you're promoted, which could pay for your child's braces. Save the food, cha-ching, you're promoted.
Check out my braces.
So when you hear this sound, rethink your behavior. Cook it, store it, share it. Just don't waste it. For tips and recipes, visit savethefood.com. Brought to you by NRDC and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Lion Tales, powered by the Nassau Community College Foundation, on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm your host, Dr. Lynnda Nadien, along with Aurora Workman, and our guest today is Melissa Messana, a special education teacher at Nassau BOCES. So, getting back to the work you do at BOCES, because, we both, Aurora and I both find this, so interesting because of the population that you're working with, older teenage boys, and, how do they respond with their phones or social media, and how do you incorporate that into the classroom? And is that something that enhances their learning or sort of, holds them back?
So with my students, most of them don't have, at least in school, they don't have the devices or anything, their phones, but they are huge into the smartboard. We use the smartboard a lot in our classroom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they actually are very interactive. One thing is technology is such a big thing nowadays. So we use smartboard for so many different kinds of lessons and YouTube, but the YouTube, we link. So let's say I do a lesson on recycling, then we'll link songs from YouTube about recycling. And it really, they love any music or any kind of catchy stuff like that. So thank goodness for the smartboard because it's big and it's, it keeps my students' attention. As far as the computer and the iPads, we have them in BOCES. Thank goodness we have access to everything, and they love. We actually have to put them on timers when they're on breaks. I have 6 students. I'd say 4 of them fight over the computer.
Yeah.
And so, but it's good because it teaches them time, weight, turn taking. So we use it more for reinforcers in the classroom. We don't really have. I don't really have any problems with them bringing any of the devices into the classroom.
Right. And then as far as reading and writing are concerned, are they interested in books, and how do you expose them to literature and to early writing, and what does that look like in the classroom?
So I always have a lot of books available. I read to them, majority of them. Mm-hmm. If the ones that can read, they do Edmark reading or a paragraph of a small, short paragraph, and then they answer questions based on that, whether it's circling if they can't write, or they will write simple words. We don't do too much writing in our classroom, but they all are practicing their names, their addresses, writing, and if they cannot write, they trace.
Right, yeah. And that, that's really such an early form of how little children, even, gen ed kids are learning to do their letter formation. It starts at the beginning, so that can also be transferred into the special education classes. So it's great that you're making those attempts. And, music and art and musical therapy, how does that work?
Music is key in our room.
Yes.
I mean,
it's key in my house too.
I do the little songs. When we cook, we do mix it up, mix it all around. They all,
yeah.
And we try to make it. I try to do age appropriate. So we find videos with depending on the age, we try to find videos or music that we could do of all ages. If you go into BOCES, it's interesting. Every classroom has a different way of doing it, but it works.
Yeah. And so your philosophy related to mentoring, how do you feel about mentoring programs, and what have you done with some of the mentoring work that you do?
I actually mentor several teachers. I've mentored them throughout the years, and my advice is always to teach from the heart and be available and approachable to everyone around, because we work with so many adults in our building and in our classroom. You have to be approachable, because even though, everybody's personalities are so different, you really got to be approachable, or else, then it just doesn't make for a good work environment. So
right.
I really, this year I had a girl who started in my school, and she had been in other schools, and she said, oh, I know what I'm doing, I know. And then recently she said, oh, boy, you're right, there's a lot of personalities in the class. And I'm not even talking about the students, I'm talking about even just the staff, because there's so many one-to-ones. And I said, just keep an open mind. Everybody has something to say, let them say it, and then you take it from there. But it's very important to be open-minded in my building. Very, very important.
Yeah, do you find that, what is your involvement in actually hiring staff in terms of teaching assistants? Because that's something that I think in the past we've hired assistants and they're very gung-ho until they're actually in the setting, and then they realize that there really is a lot to learn, and working with students with different needs and different personalities is difficult. So how do you keep retaining the good ones and not keeping ones that are just not fit for the students?
Well, that is a huge challenge because we are short-staffed at times. But we have a system in order where if we like a teacher aide that comes into sub, we write up something about them to the principal, and we also give our criticism throughout the year about it. At the end of the year, we always sit down with our administrators and talk about what we think is a good fit, because there is different levels in my building. So some personalities may be better with a different kind of classroom. So that kind of, our input's always taken.
Yeah, and do you do they have teaching certification for the teaching assistants as well? Does BOCES want that?
No, they actually don't. So
that's good that you might have like a little bit more of a choice in terms of who's certified or who's not.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then now, as you look back on your experiences here at Nassau, what would you say to a student graduating high school and getting ready to come into a college? What type of advice would you give them if they were interested in coming to Nassau Community College?
I would say that I think that this was one of the best experiences. You go in open-minded. You go in, you take everything you can, any class you want, anything that you can, and honestly, let it guide you. It will work out. It always does, and just always follow your heart and your mind.
You're listening to Lion Tales on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. My name is Aurora Workman, along with Dr. Lynnda Nadien, and our guest today is Melissa Messana, special education teacher and a mentor, a mother of two, and a proud alum of Nassau Community College. So as we continue our conversations with you, what do you best remember about Nassau that you weren't expecting?
I remember it being just such a loving environment. Like, even the professors, everybody was they let you do your thing, but they really cared and they really helped guide you. Mm-hmm. So I felt Nassau was really just a great stepping stone.
Did you join any clubs or activities here? Because remember, they had a lot of programs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember, right? I don't think I did, but I definitely feel like it gave me all the to go on further to the next couple of, years of my life.
Right. Was there a lot of talk about the 1999,
Yeah.
As I remember I was over at Concordia, I believe, and the whole thing was, everything is back up. Your computers are all going to stop next year.
Back up for Y2K, and that never happened.
Right. But I would just say that it was great. It was a great experience, and I would highly recommend it to anybody.
Well, we're so happy that you have come on the show. So have you been back to the campus?
Yeah, I went back years later for something. For just events and stuff, but that was pretty much it.
Well, the campus has been redone. I mean, you come and visit. Nice. We invite all the alumni, all the alums to come back and give back. We do lecture series, so if you have a gift or something that you do on the side that you want to share with us, that's always a wonderful thing to have alumni come back to the campus and be a part of what we're doing and help support the college, because right now we support a lot of scholarships. How did you select special education as an educator as what you were going to really focus on?
So after I left Nassau, I went on to psychology at SUNY Westbury, and when I graduated from there, I started working I actually went on several interviews. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my psychology degree. And then I went on this one interview to work with adults with disabilities. And I got the job, and I started working with them. And I found that helping others with disabilities, especially at this point I was with the adults, but then I said to myself, I really want to work in a school. This was more of like a day head center, not, the kids, they were 21 and up, and I wanted to work with the kids. So that kind of geared me into special education. I went back to school for my master's while I was working at night. So I went back at night to CW Post for my master's, and that kind of geared me into the special ed field where I am now.
Wonderful. So many of your students go on to higher education?
They usually just stay, they go to day hab centers, usually, my students.
Right, because you have the, do they do readiness programs?
Yes, exactly.
Right.
And they can do life skills. Is that part of the curriculum at BOCES?
Yes, exactly. So life skills, a lot of times what happens is after they graduate, they go on to do jobs, maybe marshals, working at McDonald's. They'll do some of the jobs, like there's something called Map Tunes, and it's something that we actually do in BOCES for the older kids, and it's companies outsource, and they bring it to us, and the kids get experience doing like almost advertising. And so some of these kids can go on and do simple jobs in the community with job coaches. Yeah.
Do you think there's enough research in terms of autism awareness and, what we can do as educators and parents to make sure that, children that are diagnosed with autism really have their needs met, as they grow into adulthood? I mean, are we doing enough with that?
I think we could always do more, especially a lot of the parents, they don't educate themselves enough, or they don't know where to educate themselves.
Right.
And I think that's the problem. If you're like a lot of these parents, some of these parents are advocates, and then some don't know how to advocate. So I feel like if they can advocate for their children, if they could find the resources, I feel like sometimes they don't know where to go. Like even my own parents call me and they're like, well, I didn't know about that, or I don't know how to get that. And I think they need a little bit more, especially for the parents, guidance.
Yeah. Right, because I used to belong to the Long Island Parents Center, and there they taught us to advocate for our children who had special needs.
Absolutely.
And I think that's important. You're exactly right. Sometimes we don't know what to ask, so when you sit there and, you get institutions that say, well, the parents didn't ask for it. Well, sometimes parents don't know what it is that they're supposed to be asking for. Right. So, LIPC, the Long Island Parents Center, educated parents on how to be an advocate for their children and how to get the best out of the school districts that for their children's needs.
Yeah, exactly. That's definitely, it comes from the home, a lot of it. They really need to educate the parents more, and then I feel like that in turn gives the families more education on it and knows more what to do with programs and things they could do. There's so much out there, but not everybody knows about it.
Right.
That's true.
Well, we'd like to thank our guest, Melissa Messana, a native Long Islander raised in North Massapequa, a devoted special education teacher, and a proud alum of Nassau Community College.
Thank you.
We want to thank you for being with us again. And my name is Dr. Lynnda Nadien, along with my fabulous friend, Aurora Workman, president of the Nassau Community College Alumni Association. The creative director of Lion Tales is Rudy J. Breedy. This show is a production of the Nassau Community College Alumni Association. Visit ncc.edu/WHPC for more information. Available as a podcast on iTunes, Android Podcasts, and Spreaker. Lion Tales is powered by the Nassau Community College Foundation on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. We'll talk to you next week.